Kyle here from All Media Reviews. Here to do a movie review. I mentioned in the plans for 2024, which this is a movie from 2023. The Nicolas Cage, Julian Nicholson, um, the other Tim Meadows, Michael Cera film, Dream Scenario. A24 is directed by Christopher Borgli, I guess, and written by Christopher Borgli, which he has a resume, but I don't think I've ever seen anything. It's A24, and I mentioned my experience with A24, I think, previously. The Lobster and Ex Machina are the two main. I saw Under the Skin, I believe, the Scarlett Johansson movie. I think that was A24 also. I mean, they've put out maybe, I don't know, better part of like close to 100 movies over the last decade, but there's some other movies that I just didn't really seem appealing to me because they're so kind of esoteric and twisting reality, and just like Midsummer, to me looked like basically for lack of a better way to put it, looked like a Wicker Man basically rip off, or updated version in some ways. So anyway, Dream Scenario is this movie about, it's not a comedy, it is a drama with some comedic elements. But the thing is, okay, so the trailer made it look like it was kind of a comedic element. And I like Nicolas Cage. I liked him in a few different movies, specifically The Family Man, that sort of Christmas Tale with John Cheadle. That movie kind of changed my mind about him. Con Air, I grew to like, and then some other stuff he's done. Of course, I've seen like Vampire's Kiss and Raising Arizona, and Peggy Sue Got Married. In the last 20 some odd years, I've seen The Weatherman. That's one of the movies I liked with him. So I used to not care for him at all. But anyway, he gives a really good performance. He got nominated for a Golden Globe, which are coming up on Sunday, for this movie. I mean, the premise of Dream Scenario is, he's this college professor, I believe, a tenured college professor dealing with bio science, that kind of, I think, it's some form of science and like psychology. In the class he's giving, he teaches, and he's married to Julian Nicholson. He has two daughters, but so these people that he knows, and even people he doesn't know, suddenly start telling him he's showing up in their dreams, but he's not doing much. He's just there for some weird reason. And then suddenly he becomes, he becomes known throughout the planet, apparently, around the city, country, and around the globe. And it's like he doesn't understand why exactly, although there's more to it. There's an underlying sort of reading between the lines of what they may be trying to do with, when he gets that sort of recognition, he goes viral. A lot of it is sort of updated from modern day society, at least Western civilization, or society and online. And in other words, they could make this movie 20, 30, 40 years ago, and they would have used different kind of equivalencies of getting known on TikTok, or getting known on Facebook or Twitter or something like that, or Instagram would have been getting known in the newspaper and on this show and that show on TV, or this magazine. But it ends up kind of, he like doesn't understand why, and then eventually he wants to do something in the dreams, and so he ends up meeting someone who he ends up wants to publish a book. His goal is to publish a book and everything, and talks to Michael Cera's this company, this like a marketing company, publishing online platform, and suddenly then he ends up connecting with someone there who talked about having him in his dreams, and then something changes about everyone now is being traumatized by him, and being sort of, he's like this, he's after them, he's trying to kill them, trying to hurt them, trying to disturb them, and he becomes like basically public enemy number one, and everyone can't stand being around him and all this stuff. So I mean, this is kind of a spoiler, of course. It's kind of what, and the thing is, like, even when he was sort of being revered as being known, um, and sort of like astral projection, and they're talking about astral projection and some other things. Um, and of course, the metaphors from like Nightmare on Elm Street start to come in, and later, like he's once had his book published, and they have him posing with the Freddy, sort of like a Freddy glove. It's not exactly; it's like all steel or whatever, versus like a cloth thing with the, the fingers and the whatever they are, their blades or whatever on the fingers. But and he's even traumatized himself, and by someone that looks like him or whatever. But he basically just, it's like he's not happy, but he's getting fame and not happy and not getting what he's looking for initially. And then when he starts to change his sort of mentality about it, try to change things, then something happens within where those people that they keep on seeing him in his dreams, including the people in his class, the students in his class, his wife's like situation at her job, and his kids. He's got these two daughters. They're all being sort of being looked down upon because they know him, and his character's name is Matthew, Paul Matthews, I think. Yeah. And what ultimately ends up happening is it gets resolved in some fashion. I'm not going to spoil it entirely, but I saw one comment and review. I was just looking afterwards about how the third act kind of doesn't give the payoff that you thought it, because I mean the acting, the characters. I mean you empathize. I empathize with his character. I mean Nicolas Cage generally he can play different kinds of characters, but yeah, for the most part, you empathize. I mean this advance from this younger woman he doesn't even take, and it's just like, well, yeah, he's a faithful husband per se, but it's like he just gets victimized after being victimized, and doesn't understand why, and he just wants to move on with his life. The Lobster, the Colin Farrell movie, I think it was Colin, from a few years ago, I felt kind of had a similar kind of engagement where the third act didn't quite stick the landing, and I feel similarly about this movie. I liked a lot about it. I should watch some interviews and stuff like that. It's a very good performance from Nicolas Cage. I mean, he's hit and miss, but I mean, when he's good, he can be very good, and it's one of his better performances. It's an interesting idea. It's like, well, be careful what you wish for, and fame's not all it's cracked up to be. Fame comes with the consequences. And then the whole thing with dreams and like astral projection, and like it's like, why are these people taking their dreams? They're being sort of manipulated and psychologically troubled by their experience in their dreams from him, and then the people that see him and everything. There's one scene that he's in a restaurant that he's basically, again, look at Public Enemy #1. Like, you can't be in here. Treat it all. It's almost, I wouldn't say it's some sort of racism or judgmental behavior, but in some ways it kind of is. But it kind of gives that sort of like cancel culture, and the way the mob mentality kind of controls how they view certain people after something that those people really don't have much of any control over. And people get victimized from that. I mean, it definitely kind of opens up and exposes or tells a lot of, it's not exclusively present culture, present society, present human society right now, but I mean, it definitely is prominent, especially with like social media and everything needing to be immediate. I mean, there's some like little things where these people that like learn how to control dreams and go into people's dreams, they're like the dream network will become like another social network, social media network. And that was sort of contrived, but I get where they're kind of going at. I mean, I have dreams that I sometimes believe sometimes could have some further explanation or understanding. Like, I have my deceased relatives sometimes showing up in my dreams. Just experience. I had a dream the other night where it was like, it wasn't post-apocalyptic, but it was kind of like if we lost, like this whole thing with the way the environment and the way that global warming and El Nino and all this stuff in a decade or 2 decades, are we going to have resources available like we have now? The post-apocalyptic where we didn't have any energy, we didn't have any, we'd be living like the Amish, how would I survive with all the medication I have to take and having a blood clot and all this stuff? It's just, it kind of hit me like, but in the dream it wasn't quite like I was at some supermarket where people were just there taking stuff, but it's like, how long do resources last to the point that the apocalypse ends, or what happens and ends? But yeah, I mean, like Darren Dalton, of course, and Deepak Chopra, people that believe in metaphysics, and there could be something to that. We don't understand enough, and some of this movie explores that to an extent. How dreams, well, they're not reality. They definitely impact us in our waking life. My wife has other thoughts about that, but they do to some degree. And you want to believe in there's more than just, whatever, 3 dimensions and time, space, and, that whole thing. If you go into space and come back in the same amount of time you're back, you actually would age less than the people on Earth. It's all relative time, the theory of relativity and everything, but yeah, Darren Dalton, the late Darren Dalton, the catcher for the Philadelphia Phillies and the Marlins and stuff like that, believed he, had been in other times, and it's like, the Mayan prophecy, it's like he says, I can't really explain it to you, but it's, I was not in that World Series game, even though my body was, that kind of thing. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It definitely sort of makes you wonder about that. I mean, this is more of a character-driven movie with the way he's treated in society. That's the focus of the movie, but the overall sort of things it explores with dreams and with what can be, what we don't understand, what we might understand with the subconscious, and our mind is actually there, even though our physical body isn't in those specific places. So I had the idea for a novel that kind of was related to it, and that movie back in the 90s was the guy from Jurassic Park. I forget his name now. Sam Neill, like Australian, I think. It's called Till the End of the World. Was basically a lot of what the premise, that, and then where you could like see your dreams in your head, and they could like record it and stuff like that. There was an exposure, the sci-fi film series back in the early 2000s. There was someone who had a short film that was basically the same idea as my novel, so I kind of just gave up on the novel. The idea of sort of going into your dreams and living, manipulating, controlling your life, your experiences in that, but that's actually another like life or experience. This person that's frustrated with their awake body life, they're anyway. So I give it a thumbs up. I mean, the dream scenario, is it the best movie I saw this year? I didn't see a lot of movies in the past year, so it's up there. I would probably, if I had to, by default, would say 5/25/77, even though that was a movie that was made in like 2007 or whatever it was, in 2009, and what surely was released like 2022. But I gotta see some more movies, of course. I want to see the Randall Park movie, Shortcomings, and some of the stuff coming up for 2024. But yeah, I would say if you like Nicolas Cage, you obviously you've seen other A24 movies you like. Lady Bird's one of them, I know, that my wife liked, actually. It's worth seeing, certainly, but it's definitely sort of left-of-center, twisting reality kind of story, and so it's not as comedic as the trailer might suggest, unfortunately. But I don't know how many movies that A24 has made, just in general, that are even, like, you want to do a percentage, like half comedy. There probably aren't too many, if any, but anyway, yeah, good movie. If you've seen it, I'd like to hear your thoughts, and we'll see if Nicolas Cage ends up winning the Golden Globe on Sunday. He got Saturn Award he got nominated to. I don't expect him to, but it's one of his better performances. But yeah, thumbs up somewhat. But again, what's your take on it if you've seen it? Otherwise, I'd love to hear what you think about it. But thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Leave a comment. Give it a ring the notification bell for the algorithm, and we'll see you next time.